the when I give the analogy of playing in traffic, there's nothing wrong with being playful. Brands should be playful because it creates an energy, as we say today, a vibe. So I think there is absolute currency in that. But playing in traffic is doing things that are foolish, that don't make sense, not try to strategic outcomes. You don't have any business doing it. People are going to sort of question it when you're gone, and people say, "Why did we even do that stuff?" There are a series of things we should have done that have been far more smarter and tied to who we are. And we could have been a lot more intelligent. The average marketer is not a consumer marketer. Like my background as a consumer marketer is why I study consumer, but I mostly study the psychology of human beings, why people do the stuff they do. The average person is a product marketer because brands are handing you product briefs. Here's the brief. Here's all its amazing features. Here's what makes it so amazing. Here's why people are going to love it. Now go find a customer who buys this stuff. Okay, how many brands bring customers into the product design process? How many are actively listening? And there's certain brands that actually do because you can see the craftsmanship with the intentionality of with the things that they do. There are brands like Toyota and Lexus who I think have intentionality. Louis Vuitton has intentionality. Cartier has intentionality. Ray-Ban has intentionality. There are brands that you can see, like you actually thought about who the end person was. I think a lot of the new pet food companies that are making more natural food, less of this ground up food, have intentionality. It's always very clear when you look at the touches. There are hotels you can check in. The Four Seasons has intentionality, the way they greet you, the way they talk to you. So again, we know what it looks like. Whether we have access to it or can afford it, or it's so scarce that we can't indulge in it. What you'll find that the average individual can only focus on the product. That's like the only script they're able to read. And they're largely disinterested in what the consumer really thinks because it may sunset what they've done. The other thing we have to understand is the average decision maker could be a terrible or relatively poor consumer themselves. So they're not even a good agent in the sandbox as representative of who they're pursuing. Nobody wants to talk about that part. But all these factors sort of play into the idea as to why you look at marketing and efforts and you see the visual, visceral disconnect from who they are pursuing. And this is why 53% of all brands are in decline because things like programmatic aren't killing it. People have to look at what they're executing, what levers they're pulling, and say to themselves, these aren't cultural or consumer intelligence centers. Anything that you do, any partner that you work with should be an extension of your own knowledge, whether it's very limited or very expansive. And I've told that to partners of the year. I need you to be extensive of what I know about multicultural. If you're not extension of it, then I have no use for you. That's the pursuit because I'm pursuing a consumer that's going to keep my clients in business and one that's more complex than the general market that's out there as a populace. And I think just people just need to get very serious about where they really stand and where they really sit on the level of understanding this conversation. Because here's the thing, there are people who get it, who are going to use AI-powered tools, weaponize it, and put other people out of the jobs because they weren't doing anything anyways, and they weren't all that good anyway. And that's what we're on the precipice of.